Hey, this is the C&D channel. I'm Chris, and this is MMA for you. I'm going to be doing my predictions for MFC 29 Conquer. But before we get into that, I'd like to thank our sponsors, GoBusiness123.com, Demarce Sunglasses Boutique in Laguna Beach, and www.demarcesunglassesusa.com. So let's get right to it. I'm just going to do the main card for this and start from the bottom and go to the main event. So first fight of the night is Andrae Spang versus Ali Mokdad. This one's kind of a pick'em for me. I'm not familiar with these guys, so I'll go with Andrae Spang. But after that, we got Spratt versus Demi. I don't go against Spratt a lot of times. I'm a big fan of the Lethal Weapon here, and I gotta go with Spratt to win this. He does still have really good striking. He is a veteran. His jiu-jitsu is always going to be his weakness, though, but I don't think that. I'm hoping he doesn't get tapped out here. I always like to see Spratt in action. Another guy I'd like to see in action in our next fight is Franca, as he's going to fight Robert Washington. Now, the thing with Franca is that he's kind of like not as into MMA as he used to be. Like the guy actually got knocked out by some lower tier guys. He's not losing, he's like losing. He wins some, lose some now. Even with his weight, he always has like weight issues these days. He's fighting at 160 against Robert Washington. Robert Washington's pretty solid. He lost his last fight though, but he's a solid fighter. I would actually pick him, but I'm going to go with my emotional pick here and go with Franca to win this one. He at the very least, Franca, great jiu-jitsu, striking technique is terrible, power really good, and he's generally a very game opponent. So I'll go with Franca to win this one. And next on the card is Marcus, the Irish Hand Grenade, versus Curtis Demarce. Gotta go with Davis here, man. The thing with Davis, I really think that MFC is a good fit for him. I think that, in his last 4 bouts in the UFC, he got knocked out, KO'd clean 2 times, and choked out by Nate Diaz. I'm just choked out. Obviously, he's not going to be fighting the cream of the crop and the very best guys here. So, and Davis is pretty solid. I mean, he's not like a bad fighter. He might be a little slower, but he still has good boxing technique. His wrestling, is good. It's average. He does take guys down, and his submission ability, he has a good amount of submissions under his belt as well. Guillotines, arm bars and whatnot. Yeah, a lot of guillotines with him. But yeah, I gotta go with Marcus Davis to win this one all the way. I think he's definitely well-rounded enough, and he's not going to be fighting like the very best guys, so it's good for him. There's actually some pretty decent lightweights in MFC though, so if he keeps fighting MFC and climbs up the MFC ladder, then we'll see. Next fight after that is gonna be Cummings versus Ryan Jimmo. Jimmo, man, in his last fight, man, he gave this was it Lewis or Ford? I think it was Ford. I'm not too sure. It's either Lewis or Ford. Huge hematoma, man. I mean, his eye was just bursting. Good for Jimmo. He's definitely a guy that you want to see more finishes from. I think he'll be able to beat Cummings here, who is a Strikeforce veteran actually. I can't see Jimmo getting like out wrestled or anything at that end. I think Jimmo has the advantage on the feet here. Jimmo's really interesting because he's a light heavyweight prospect, but like if I ever see him in the UFC, I think he's UFC caliber, but he's like I can only see him peaking at mid tier. You know, he is a good competitor though, so you know it's not like he's a bad fighter or anything. He's a solid fighter. He has some solid ones, especially under the MFC banner. And I expect him to beat Cummings here for the light heavyweight title and to retain. Okay, and the main event of the night is for the MFC welterweight title, as Douglas Lima is going to fight Terry Martin. Gotta go with Lima here. Jesse Wallace did expose Lima and his wrestling. Obviously, Lima's really good on the ground, especially with like triangles and whatnot. His stand-up's getting better too. He's a pretty long guy. I think he can use his. He's getting better at using his reach. His Muay Thai is getting better. Martin has always just been kind of there. I've never been really impressed with the guy. You know, he's just kind of like a guy that's been there. You know, he's a veteran. He's not particularly that good in any particular department. You know, he's game. You know, but Lima should take this one. He's another guy actually that like he's a welterweight prospect. His wrestling needs work, but his jiu-jitsu does make up for some of that actually. But like I'm curious to see how he would do in the UFC. I wonder if he'd be something similar to like a Nate Diaz or something, where he has good, you know, stand-up's good, jiu-jitsu's great, wrestling not so good. You know, but yeah, gotta go with Lima to win this nonetheless. I can see big things from him. Lima's still pretty young, and you know, he definitely has a very dynamic ground game. So I definitely want to see how this guy improves. You know, for sure. So yeah, that's it for my MFC 29 Conquer predictions. If you have any comments or anything, just leave them below, or you can email us at thecndchannel@gmail.com. And I'd like to thank our sponsors, Go Business 23, Demarce Sunglasses, and the new website, Demarca USA. Okay, and that's it for MMA for you. Thank you very much. See you soon.